Okay, hello, this is Mr. Deckard. I'm in Studio D, that is Studio Deckard, here in my home. And tonight I'll be making a video using Adobe Flash CS5, the very program that we use in class. And I'd like to run you through a short little tutorial about how to create a specific character based on something that you can see online. And I'm also going to introduce the idea of symbols and storing things in your library. This is a little bit more advanced than what we were doing today, so bear with me. I will move through it at regular speed, because if you are looking at this, excuse me, Diet Coke, and you miss something, you have the ability to back up, pause, whatever. And so I will explain everything as clearly as I can as I move along, but let's just see how it goes. So we start, with a blank document, and I'm going to leave the stage here at this size currently, but as we always do when we draw, we want to look over here to the right, and we want to change our top color to black and our bottom color to no fill, which is located right here. Directly under the color, you'll see the color wheel and the white box with the red line. We're set up on a single layer. It's currently called layer 1. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making one of these characters. And what you can do is you could copy this image, bring it over, and this is going to be huge. Don't freak out. I'm going to paste it. That's way too big for what we want here right now. We really only need these as references. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale this down and roll it over here. Okay, and that's right there under, I have my video right up there in the corner. Well, actually, I can't point to it in a way that I can actually point to it, so forgive me, but my image will be right up in this area. So what I want to do is I want to start with ovals, because I'm going to make this one right here, or something like it. And the important thing is too to remember that you're not trying to make the exact thing. You know, when you're doing animation, what you want is something reminiscent of. You want to suggest something. For instance, I talk about Mickey Mouse and his hands. How many fingers does he have? Well, it's 3 and a thumb. And the idea is that nobody really looks at the hand anyway, so as long as you're close and come up with a reasonable facsimile, it will be fine. So I'm going to use simple shapes. I'm going to hit O one time, and you'll notice that this highlights. Now watch what happens right here, and I'm going to keep pointing at it when I hit it again. This changes to an oval primitive. You don't want to use that. Because if you do, you'll be in protected mode, and you won't be able to modify what you need to be able to do. Now, I guess the other way is you could draw in that, get all your shapes in place, and then break everything apart, and then work with it from there, but I wouldn't suggest that. Let's just keep it simple for now, and we'll be in the regular oval tool. You also want to come down here and make sure that object drawing is not turned on, because it'll be the same effect. If that's on, if I draw a circle here, you'll notice there's a box around it. See that? That means it's protected. And if I try to take my black arrow like we did today, and I try to do any modifications to it, I really can't. All I can do is move it. I could resize it using the scale tool, but other than that, I'm not going to be able to do it. Now, if that ever does happen to you, you can hit Control and B, and you'll break it apart. And there it is. But I want you to see this the right way, so I'm going to come in here with my oval, and I'm going to set it largish, something like that. It does not have to be a perfect circle, but if you do want a perfect circle, hold your shift and your item will snap. I'm actually going to flatten it out a little bit, because if you look at the character over there, the character is a little bit flat. And then, oh, look at that. I forgot to turn that off, didn't I? Control Z. I've got to turn this off right here. All right, so here we go. I'm going to flatten that out, like so. I'm going to take my select tool, and I'm going to just pump it up a little bit and to the back, just something about like that. No biggie. Then I'm going to hit O again, and I'm going to make an oval like so. I'm going to hit my third tool down, which is my transform tool, surround it, and you notice that I'm drawing off to the side. I'm not putting objects right on top of one another when I draw them. this is different from drawing with pencil and paper. With pencil and paper, you have to put objects exactly where they go because you can't move them. But with this, you want to assemble the parts after you've created them. And what I'm trying to represent are these two little things right here, feathers on the top. So I'm going to rotate this something like so. I'm going to move it with my subselect tool. And the exact rotation doesn't matter that much. And really even the size doesn't matter that much. Remember, we're just getting a suggestion. So I'm going to hit Control C and Control V. I want to pull this out a little bit and rotate it back up some and scale it up slightly, just slightly longer. All right. I'm going to rotate a little bit more, something like that. All right, this will probably do. Yeah, okay, now you notice it was snapping there. And what was happening is if I got anywhere close to the other object, you wanted to jump. You can get around that two ways. One is you could use your arrow keys to precisely move, which is what I'm doing here. Or you can zoom in and it takes a lot of that snap out. You can zoom in by hitting Control plus and you zoom out by hitting Control minus. So that's about where I want it right now. Good. Now I'm going to hit R for rectangle. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to try to make these tail feathers. And so I'm going to make a small rectangle like so. Then I'm going to use my, no, actually I'm not. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so I can show you this. I'm going to fan this out a little bit by grabbing the corner and just tweaking it out slightly, pulling this in. All right. Then I can use my transform tool and I'm going to stretch it just a little bit. Something like that. Now the whole thing is too small, but what I want is that proportion of just kind of a long featherish thing. Then I can scale that back down. Now I'm going to zoom back out and I'm going to live with that. I think that's good. I'm going to make that the center one. So I'll drag that over and notice that I'm going to overlap it a bit. I want to make sure I overlap that. Hit Control C and V, and I'm going to use this tool to slightly shrink it and 100% rotate it up about like that. And if I can't see, again, I can zoom in and get a better, oh, nope, didn't want to do that. Control Z, pull my shift, there we go. Something like that. I'm going to hit Control C and Control V and pull that one off and rotate it down. Something like that. And now I'm going to pull it over. Excuse my mouse here, it's kind of running into things. And surround this and come on over and fan it out. And when we zoom out, we can see that more or less represents our area right over here, the tail feathers. It's not perfect, it doesn't have to be. All right, so let's deal with this circle on the bottom. And all I'm going to do with that is just draw an oval. I probably am going to squash it out a little bit more, kind of like that. And I want it to more or less start and end where the other one does, so I'm going to have to spread it out a little bit. Something like that. Then I just clip off the bottom. So there that is. That's not too bad. I'm going to hit O. And another one. Smaller though. And you want this to be right about here. Then we're going to make another O. A bit smaller, something like this. And then we're going to copy and paste this one. Control C, Control V. We're going to zoom in here a little bit though, and we're going to scale it just slightly down, like that. And we're going to pull that over in here, kind of like that. And it does not have to be perfect. See how that does the inside of the eye? I'm going to take it up a little bit and in a little bit more. All right. Now I'm going to take this one and I'm going to overlap it, kind of like that, kind of in that neighborhood. Clip this line right here, and you see how that makes that little piece. Then I'm going to make another oval, something like that. Control C, Control V. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make the cheeks going into the eyes. About right in there. Bring that down a little bit. Something like that. And we're going to clip here and here. Do it again on the other side. You see when you grimace, your cheeks go into your eyes like that. See it? And that's what we're doing. So that'll do. And this is supposed to be kind of a zany look anyway. I mean, to be honest. All right, so now that we've made it, we're going to drag that over here. Starting to get somewhere, aren't we? All right. Now we're going to make some eyebrows. And again, we're going to use the R for the rectangle. We're just going to set aside something about like that. We're going to use our black arrow or select tool to pull a corner down to kind of get this. Going to use our transform tool to rotate it so that we get a sharp downward turn. We're then going to hit Control C and Control V. Now we need to flip this over. So we're going to go up to Modify, which is right up here. We're going to Arrange. Oh, excuse me. To Transform, we're going to flip horizontal. Boom. Now we need to make it slightly smaller and probably scrunch it in a little bit because we want to create the idea that this is actually, the head is tilted a little bit. All right, so we needed something like that. Right, so now if we look at it, we should be able to take our select tool, move it over like so, and it should meet in the middle. So we're going to pull our other one over. And again, you can arrow down for precise placement. But if I zoom in here, what I kind of want to see happen is the point on the lower corners match like that. Then I can clip out the extra pieces of everything. Starting to look good, isn't it? Right? Now we deal with the beak. This is probably the hardest thing of all, but I would keep it simple. If you look at the picture, it's essentially a triangle that's distorted a little bit. So you can rough that out by doing, and this is a pro tip, start big. Cross your lines, right? Like so. Like so. All right, now you can take, what I'm doing is I'm not just pushing out, but I'm also pulling down, and that's going to give me a curve that's thicker towards the bottom. And then I'm going to kind of do the same thing here. I'm just going to bend it out like so. I'm going to flare it out a bit more here. And I want a peak up here, okay? But I don't want too much of one. And when I lift this up, I should be able to kind of get the shape I'm after. I'm going to pull this way a bit. Then I'm going to pull this way a bit. Now there are ways of getting in here and getting more specific, but you know, for the sake of this video, I'm really going to just keep this simple. Plus I need to wrap this up in just a few minutes so it doesn't exceed too long a length. We're going to say that's going to do it for now on that part. And then once again, we're just going to create essentially another line shape. And I'm going to go something like this, cross it over like that, cross it over like that, cross it over like that. And that's probably going to handle that part. Now, didn't quite get there. All right, I'm going to clip off this part. And I made a little bit of a mistake there because I drew that too close and it's going to make selection harder. You normally want to give yourself a little bit more space. I'd have been better off drawing that down here, but I think I'm going to be able to pull it off. Yep, I did. So now I've got it. What I needed to do is I needed to occupy a bit more space. And I thought it might, and that's one of the reasons I drew it that close. I'm just going to stretch it out until it feels about right. And it pretty much does. So I'm just going to come a little bit over here. All right, good. Now I'm going to clip this off and this off. I'll put a little bit of a curve here and a bit of a curve here. It's not much. Clip that off. Okay, we are almost there. Now I'm going to take this line right here, pull it out. I'm going to just make a kind of like that and like that. Clip and clip. Now the whole thing, that whole bit right there is way too big, right? So when I move this over here, in approximately in the area, I'll then use my transform tool. And see, the deal is that it is oftentimes easier to work in a larger scale when you're building something and then shrink it when you're done. Because this, since it's a GIF, I mean, it's a vector actually, it's very scalable. So it's easy to make these alterations afterwards. Now, I'm going to zoom in here. With my select tool and start deleting these extra lines. And that's pretty much wait a minute, I might not want to take that one. Let's look at the picture again. I'm getting close on that. I for sure am going to want to take that one. I think I'm going to want to pull a little bit of a trick here. Yeah, what I want is an opening down here. And so this all melds together, especially like right there. So I'm going to get rid of this line, but I have to hang on to this for just a moment until I do a couple of things here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a straight line because I want this to end right here, which is essentially right. Oh, see, I can't do that. Have to zoom in. Snap got me. So I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to pull a line right across that. What that lets me do is that, and then I can get rid of this. See? And then I need to do it again approximately right here. So I'm going to take my line tool and pull it up. See, did it again. See if I can do it from here. Yeah, I think I can pull that. Yes, I can do that. So I want one there, which is going to allow me to get rid of this. And then I can get rid of this and this. And so That's roughly it. I could pull this over a bit, make it a little bit lazier, kind of like that. Not perfect, but you get the idea. Now, finally, we're going to want to get rid of all these extra lines, and we're zoomed far too out to do a good job of that. So we just know that we want it to be flush with the back end of the circle. So we're just going to clip these lines. Okay, so on a very basic level, that's our Angry Bird setup more or less. Now, if you look carefully, there are two different shades of red. There's the bright red and there's the darker red, and there are some circles that work the way around. If you want to make that, it's not hard. It would be simply make an oval like so. Oop. Nope, didn't select it. Select it, then move it. So that's going to be approximately like that, right? Somewhere in there, about like that. Then get rid of the extra. Okay. Then we're going to make some smaller circles and just ovals, really. We're going to cock them slightly over. There we go, like that. And that one would go probably in this neighborhood. It's a little big, so we're going to scale it down. Okay, like that. We're going to go control. Oh, wait a minute. We've got to get around the eyes. We got to do that. Okay, missed that. Got to do the eyes. All right. Now that's not quite the shape I want. Okay, let's about like that. All right, you got to do this part. Can't leave it off. So, Control C, Control V, because when somebody gets angry, the blood rushes to the soft tissue under the eyes, and it causes it to red up. And you'll notice angry birds generally have those bags under the eyes, indicating that the blood is rushed up there. It's kind of a signature move. So we have to put it in there. And I'm going to put it about right there. Clip off the extra pieces. There we go. There's one. I'm going to scale this down just slightly. And we're going to do that on the other side. And we're almost done. It's real close. All right. Yeah, that'll do. Zoom in to get rid of the extra. So, and get used to zooming in and out like that, because you pretty much have to. Okay. All right, that is looking pretty tasty, don't you think? I do. I think that's good. All right, so we just need one more spot, and this is pretty much done. And all we'd have to do then is add color. So I'm going to make one more oval about that big. I'm going to rotate it just slightly, something like that. Scale it down a little bit. And then I'm just going to lay it up against. Sorry, my mouse pad's a little away. I'm just going to throw it on there. All right. So I'm going to clip here and here. All right, so here comes the cool. We're going to start filling, and I'm going to use the color directly from that object. I'm not going to worry about the highlight line here right now. I'm not going to mess with that. But these other things, yeah, I'm going to do. So I'm going to hit the paint bucket, and I'm going to go down here to this area right here, gap size, and I'm going to change that to close large gaps. Now, even I shouldn't have any gaps because of the way I intersected my lines, but if I do, this will take care of it. So watch this trick. I am going to grab my eyedropper tool. I'm going to select the color here and then put it there. I'm going to use my eyedropper tool again. I'm going to select this color and put it here. Eyedropper tool. I'm sorry, the eyedropper tool is in different places in different art programs I use, so forgive me. This, 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 and this. And you notice I missed a little red there and there. I'll come back and get that in a minute. Let's see, the yellow. We want to work the yellow. So the lower yellow is going to be a little bit darker yellow. So we're going to go with that. Or orange, whatever you think. Here and here, and you see they are different. Let's go ahead and take care of that red. And this will happen sometimes. What you have to do, I'm going to sample here so it's consistent, and I'm going to zoom in because you've got to get the mouse, that tip of that paint exactly where you want the paint to go. So I'm going to look around and make sure. Oh, I need a clip it line. I didn't catch this earlier. If this line's got to get clipped. All right, that's better. I'm going to go dark with that. I think that would be dark here. So I'm going to go here, right there. Boom. All right, let's get on with it. And let's see, almost done. I want to sample the black. Well, actually, I'm just gonna make it black. Fill color, black, 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 black. And you notice these areas here that I didn't clip out. I'm gonna have to go in and fill those manually, and they would be filled. Okay, so that looks right now. Now, believe it or not, I have to select white and fill here, here, and here. With that, we're colored. So I do have one more trick, and that is I'm going to get rid of these separation lines. And why would I do that? Because if you look over at this bird right here, you'll notice that there are no black outlines on the inside. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that line, hold my shift, select that line, and that, and that, and that. Come over to my top line over here and change it to no fill. What do you think? I can also simply back the line out. That's the other way. Now you don't want to do that for all of them because you notice that some areas do have black lines and others don't. But in this case, this is what the Angry Birds looks like. So let's have a look at it. What do you think? I think for a simple, quick tutorial, it's fine. And this does show you how they're made. And like anything else, you do this a few times, you get better at it, you get better at it, you get better at it, and you'd be able to fairly represent the same artwork. It would look like it came from the same studio. And indeed, this is what artists do. They say, hey, here's our workflow. This is the way we do it. This is how we make it. And go and do it. So with that, that's the end of the tutorial. If you want to search for the picture that I have, it's on the internet. I just searched for Angry Birds, and I tried to find one that was large. I set my search for large, by the way, on images, and it gave me a variety of pictures, but you don't have to have that one. Any one of them that would show two-dimensional pictures, clear pictures of Angry Birds would be just fine. So with that, this is Mr. Deckard, and I am signing off.